guys, it's Vicky and welcome back to another holiday tutorial. Today we're going to be making a snowman ornament, and once again I designed this pattern just for you. You can find it down in the description below. Now for your supplies, you're going to need about 132 beads. That'll be 94 white, 18 black, 3 orange, and 17 red. And for my string, I'm going to be using Stretch Magic 0.7 millimeter thick. It's a clear stretch cord. Now this is my first time making this pattern, but I think it's probably going to use 5 feet of string. If you happen to need to add string at any point, there is a tutorial on that down in the description. So let's take our 5-foot piece of string and fold it in half, holding the two ends next to each other. Then we're going to place one black bead onto each end of the string. Then put your two strings together and place on one black bead onto both ends. Then place one black bead onto each end. Then put the two strings together and place on one white bead. Next we'll put on one white bead and one black bead. Put the two ends together and place one white bead onto both at once. Then place one orange bead onto each end of the string. Put the two ends together. Place on one white bead. Next we'll put one red bead onto each end. Put the two strings together. Place on one red bead, then one red bead on each end. Put the strings together, place on one red bead. Then we're going to put one black bead on one end and one red bead on the other end. Put the strings together, place on one white, then black on one end and white on the other. Then one white onto both at once. Then black on one end and white on the other. Then white onto both at once. Black on one end, white on the other. Put the strings together and put on one white. Then one white on each end. One white onto both ends at once. Then one white on each end. Now we need to pull all of our beads to the middle of our folded in half string. Then I'm going to pull on all of the beads to tighten it. And now it looks like this. So now I am also going to tie a knot at the end. So here I am tying my first knot. And then once I do that, I like to hold the knot and pull the beads once again just to make sure everything's nice and tight before I make it into a double knot. On the double knot, I'm going to tug on the two ends of string to make sure that it's extra tight. Now I'm going to orient my snowman here. I want the black beads on this side to all be facing away from me, and then the black bead that's here on the top, I want that to face towards me. That's one of his eyes. And then these are his little buttons. So I'm going to separate the two strings, put one farther away from me, and just use one of the strings for now. So I'm going to take one of my strings and place it through this bottom edge bead that's sticking out towards me. And then I'm going to add on a white bead and place my string through the next white bead that's sticking out. Now I'll be placing on another white bead and placing the string through the next white that's sticking out. then another white bead, and I'll put the string through the next bead that's sticking up, adding another white bead and putting the string through the next bead that's sticking up, then I'll add another white bead and place the string through this next red bead. And every few beads or so, you're going to want to tug on your string to make sure everything's going to be tight. Now let's add a red bead and put the string through the next red bead that's sticking up. Now another red bead and put the string through the next red bead that's sticking up. Now I'll be adding a white bead and putting my string through this next orange bead that's sticking up. Now I'm adding another white bead, and I want to make sure I'm putting my string through this black bead. Then another white bead, and I'm putting my string through the next black bead. And now we'll be adding a black bead and putting the string through the top black bead. And at the end of each row, make sure you tug on your string to tighten everything. So now for this next row, I'm going to be using that other string that we haven't used yet. So we're switching strings, and I'm going to put this string through the opposite bead that we did last time. And then I'm going to put it through this bead, but going towards the outside. Now that string is ready to go, we'll need to add a white bead and put the string through this second white bead from the outside. Now I'm adding another white bead and putting my string through the next white bead that's sticking up. Another white bead, put the string through the next white bead that's sticking up. Add a white bead, put the string through the next white bead that's sticking up. Add another white bead, put the string through the next white bead that's sticking up. Here we'll be adding a red bead and putting the string through the next red bead that's sticking up. Next is a white bead, and I'll put the string through the next red bead that's sticking up. Next will be a red bead, and I will put my string through this next white bead that's sticking up. Now an orange bead, put the string through the next white bead, and a white bead here, put the string through the next white bead. And finally, this is the last bead in the row. It's going to be black, and I will put the string through this black bead that's sticking up. Make sure that you tug on the ends to tighten your row. Now with that same string, I'm not going to add a bead here. I'm just going to put the string through this bead that's right under the one it's coming out of. There also isn't going to be a bead here in this spot, so we're going to next put the string through this white bead that's popped in. Now we're going to put the string through the white bead that's popped out. And then we're going to put a white bead here and put the string through the orange bead. Then we're going to just put the string through this white bead that's popped in without adding a bead. Then put the string through this red bead that's popped out. Here we'll be adding a red bead and putting the string through the next white. Now we'll be adding a white bead and putting the string through this red bead that's popping out. Then we're going to fill all of these gaps with white beads till we get to the end of the row. Now that we've reached the end of this row, I'm going to put the string through this white bead that's popped out without adding a bead. Then we're going to add 3 white beads. Then I'm going to place the string through this white bead that's popped in without adding a bead. Then I'll put the string through this white bead that's popped out. Now I'll add one white bead. Then without adding a bead, I'm going to put the string back through that same bead I just added, going the opposite way. Then through the next 4 beads as well, without adding any more beads. Now we'll be adding 2 white beads. Now I'll put my string through the white bead that I just added, going the opposite way. And I'm going to put on one more white bead. So now we're done with half of the snowman. We just need to do the other half. Let's leave this string where it is for now. We'll come back for it later. I'm going to turn the snowman around, and I'm going to, for now, just use the string that's coming out of his head. Tug on that to tighten it. And then I'm going to put my string through the bead that's right next to the one it's coming out of. And then add a black bead. Put the string through the next black that's sticking up. Add a white bead. Put the string through the next white bead that's sticking up. Another white bead. Another white bead. A red bead here. And then 6 white beads. Don't forget to tug on the string at the end to tighten it. So now I'm going to go back to that string that we left over here on the other side of the snowman. And we're going to want to thread it through all of the beads on the edge of the snowman without adding any new beads, until we get to the second to the last bead. Now, instead of putting the bead through this bead that's right next to the one the string's coming out of, I'm going to skip that one and go over to this one over here. Now that string is ready to use. And I'm actually going to add a little bit of string to it. Because this side is getting short, I'm going to add 2 feet. There is a tutorial on how to add string in the description. Now let's add 1 black bead and put the string through the next black bead that's popped out. Then another black and another black. Then 1 white, 1 red, and the rest of this row are going to be white. At the end here, I'm going to add my last white bead and then switch strings and place the string through that same bead but going the opposite way. Then we're going to add 6 white beads. Then 1 red bead, 3 white beads, and 1 black bead. Now without adding a bead, I'm going to turn around and place my string through that last black bead I just added. And add another black bead. Then 2 white beads. Then 1 red bead. Then 6 white beads. Now on the end here, I'm going to add 1 more white bead, and then switch to the other string and place it through that same white bead, going the opposite way. Now add 6 white beads. Then 1 red bead. Then put the string through the next 2 white beads without adding any more beads. Then add 1 white bead. Now I will turn around and put the string through that same white bead, going the opposite way. Now I'm going to put my string through the next 6 beads without adding any more beads. Then I'll add 1 white, then put my string through the next 2 beads without adding any more beads, then add 3 white. Now I will turn that string around and put it through that same white bead I just added without adding any beads. Place on 2 white beads. Then turn around, put the string through the last white bead I just added, and then add 1 more white bead. Now I'm going to switch to the other string. I'm going to take that string and place it through the next 2 beads without adding any beads. This is just to get it next to the other string so we can tie this off. I'm going to go ahead and tie this in a triple knot. And now I'll just cut off the ends. So now the snowman is complete. We just need to make a way so he can hang on the tree. So I'm just going to be using an extra piece of the clear stretch magic. It's a few inches long. I'm going to fold it in half and hold the 2 ends together, and put both those ends through the little middle bead on the top of his hat. And I will also then separate the 2 ends, put 1 end through each bead that's underneath the bead that they're coming out of. And now I'm going to take these 2 ends and make a little loop out of them, and then pull through that loop, and then tie a double knot with the 2 tiny little ends that are sticking off. And let's cut those off. And then I'm gonna pull on the loop that's coming out of his head, so I can pull that knot. It's gonna suck up in between all these beads up here in his hat. So now he has this little loop of clear string on the top of his head, so that we can hang him from the tree. Anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching. Hit me up on my social media if you want to show me your candy creations. Comment below with any questions or suggestions you have. Hit the thumbs up if you enjoyed the video. Subscribe for more tutorials, and until next time, peace, love, unity, and respect.